The training hall on Space Station Kelrix 9 was filled with laughter. Loud alien voices echoed off the metal walls. A giant screen showed videos of Earth's most famous predators, lions chasing zebras, great white sharks jumping out of water, a wolf pack surrounding a deer. To the aliens, it all looked like comedy. "Is this your strongest predator?" laughed Captain Noro, a tall, red-scaled warrior from the Varkan Empire. "That cat can only bite. It doesn't even fly." Another alien, a gray-skinned Yatari with 3 eyes, pointed at the screen. "Look, this one, what is it called? A bear? It looks like a fat fruit beast." More laughter followed, but in the corner of the room, a human stood silently, Lieutenant Mahdi Reyes. Short, calm, wearing a plain Earth Forces uniform. Her hands were behind her back. Her face showed no emotion. She just watched as they laughed at Earth's predators, watched as they called lions slow, bears clumsy, sharks overgrown fish. The aliens didn't notice her smile. It wasn't a happy smile. It was quiet, cold, like she knew something they did. An alien cadet turned to her. "Lieutenant Reyes," he asked, still laughing, "why are you so quiet? Are you ashamed of your famous Earth hunters?" Mahdi looked at him with calm eyes. "You think these are Earth's strongest predators?" "Well, of course," said Captain Noro. "Your people always speak of lions and wolves as if they are legends." "They are legends," she said, "but not because they are the most dangerous. They're just the ones you can see." Room grew a little quieter. The 3-eyed Jatari asked, "Then where are your real predators?" Mahdi took a step forward. Her boots made a sharp sound on the metal floor. She looked at the giant screen. "You missed the emergency broadcast files?" she said. "Emergency? What?" Captain Noro raised an eyebrow. Mahdi nodded. "They were never sent to alien species. They are only shown to human command. Black level. Clearance only." A nervous laugh came from the back. "Oh, come now, human. What could be so dangerous that you were afraid to share it?" She paused, then answered softly, "Creatures, we don't try to fight anymore." Now the room was silent. Varkan Captain narrowed his eyes. "This is a joke. It's a human joke." He turned to leave. "Meet me in the viewing room tomorrow, 0800 hours. I'll show you something. And after that, you won't laugh at Earth's predators again." She walked away, still smiling. That night, the aliens talked in whispers. "Do you think she's bluffing? Maybe she has some new Earth weapon? Or maybe she's just angry we made fun of her lion." None of them slept well. The next morning, the viewing room was packed. Alien cadets from 4 different species were there. Even the station's commander, a crusty old Trillian named Baronek, sat near the front, curious. Mahdi stood near the projector, holding a small black flash drive. She looked at them all. "Before I play this," she said, "I want to make something clear." The room was quiet. "This footage is real. It is taken from old Earth emergency broadcasts. Most humans have never seen them. Even fewer understand them. What you will see is not from a zoo. It is not from a lab. It is not something we control." She inserted the drive. A warning popped. On screen, classified. "Emergency use only, black level clearance, proceed." Y-N. She clicked Y. The lights dimmed. The video began. It opened in a forest. Thick trees. Rain falling. A small human scout team was moving slowly through the underbrush. Each wore old military gear. Their faces were nervous. Birds chirped. Leaves rustled. Nothing seemed strange. Then, silence. The birds stopped. The wind vanished. Even the rain seemed to slow. The soldiers stopped moving. One of them looked behind. "Did you hear that?" He whispered. Nothing replied. Another soldier activated his shoulder camera and infrared. The screen showed nothing but trees, then dash movement. Just for a second, a blur between trees. Tall, black. The camera zoomed in. "Nothing," the team leader ordered. The group to fall back. That's when the first scream came. The rear soldier was gone. No struggle, no body, just gone. The camera panned back. Still nothing. Mahdi's voice echoed quietly in the room. Watch carefully. You won't see it again. Another soldier vanished. No sound. The aliens watching leaned forward in their seats. "What is this?" whispered one of them. Predator asked another. "Where is it?" On screen, the final 3 soldiers huddled near a tree. Their radios were silent. GPS failing. One of them began crying softly. The camera turned toward a distant shadow. It blinked 2 glowing red eyes. Then nothing. The screen went dark. A loud tone played. Emergency broadcast ended. No recovery, no recovery, no trace. The lights turned back on in the viewing room. No one spoke. Maddie stood quietly watching their faces. Some looked pale, others confused. Captain Noro looked angry. "That was a trick," he said. "A shadow. Camera malfunction." "Where is the Predator?" Maddie walked over to him. "That is the Predator." He frowned, but we didn't see it. "Exactly," she said. "It saw them. When to strike, left no sound, no body, no evidence." Captain Noro growled. "What is it called?" Maddie shook her head. "We don't know. Call it the silence." A cold chill spread across the room. The Atari cadet asked, "Why didn't your people hunt it down?" Maddie looked him in the eyes. "Because every time we tried, more people vanished. We stopped looking. Started building walls instead. We don't enter certain forests anymore." The station commander finally spoke. "And this creature still exists?" Maddie answered. "We don't know, but we don't go back to those places. Not even now. Not even with better tech." Another alien whispered. "Then why did you show us this?" She looked around the room, her voice steady. "Because yesterday you laughed at lions, at bears, at sharks. But Earth has things even we can't explain. Things older than our science. And when you mock our predators," she paused, "you mock creatures that learn to survive on the same planet as that?" The room stayed silent. For a long time, Maddie turned back to the screen. Then, for the first time that morning, she smiled again. But this time, no one laughed. The station lights flickered as Maddie walked down the long metal hallway. Behind her, the viewing room was still silent. No more jokes. No more alien laughter. Captain Noro had left without speaking. The Atari cadet looked shaken. A trillion. Commander just sat still, his claws tapping the floor. But Maddie wasn't done yet. Not even close. What they had seen in the forest footage, that was just the beginning. There was something worse. Much worse. And it was locked behind level black. "Clearance." Maddie stopped at a heavy security door. A scanner blinked red. "Restricted access. Command level only." She slid her ID chip into the slot. Denied. Maddie sighed. She expected that. She pulled out a black envelope from her jacket. Inside was a temporary override code. Something her superior back on Earth gave her only if absolutely necessary. She hesitated. Once she used this code, Earth Command would know. They would ask questions. Maybe even remove her from the project. But she remembered the way the aliens laughed at Earth yesterday, and how their faces changed when the predator in the forest made 2 of them stop breathing. She typed in the code, access. Granted. The door slid open with a heavy hiss. Inside was a small data vault. Black walls, no windows, cold as a freezer. A single console sat in the middle. Maddie approached it and typed in the code again. A menu popped up. Class 1 threats. Wild Zones Class 2 threats. Genetic errors, Class 3 threats. Unidentified predators. Class 0, silence events. Class Omega, no return footage. Maddie clicked on the last one. A warning popped up. Warning, Class Omega, do not play without command supervision. She typed in the override once more, then clicked download to secure device. She looked over her shoulder. The room was still empty. No alarms. She pulled out a small black drive shaped like a dog tag. Inserted it, waited. The file copied. The screen flashed. Emergency footage ready viewer. Discretion advised. What? Maudie held the tag in her hand. It felt heavier now. The next day, the aliens returned to the viewing room. This time there were no jokes. Some looked tired, some looked scared. One Varkin had his claw on a weapon. Maudie stood in front of them again. "This file," she said, holding up the black drive, "was never supposed to leave Earth." The Trillion commander spoke.
"What is it?"
Maudie answered. "It's not just an attack. It's a warning from the past. Something went wrong. We lost contact with a human research facility. We sent people to check. They never came back." She plugged the drive into the projector again. A warning flashed. "This is a class Amiga. Emergency broadcast. Do not proceed without proper clearance." She clicked proceed. The room darkened. The footage opened in a snowy landscape. White hills. Ice everywhere. A few small buildings sat in the center of the cold desert. A team of humans exited one of the buildings. They looked worried. One of them, a woman with a red jacket, spoke to the camera. "This is Station Eco 7. We lost contact with 2 patrols. No bodies. No signal. Something is here with us." The video jumped forward. Now it was night. The station's lights were flickering. Wind howled outside. A man whispered, "It's in the snow underneath." Another answered, "It's not leaving tracks. It's not showing on thermal." Then, screams. The camera spun wildly. A figure was dragged into the shadows. Another body was thrown against a wall. The video cut out for a second, then showed static. A voice was whispering something behind the static. The translation system couldn't understand it. It sounded like clicking. One alien in the viewing room whispered, "That sound. I've heard it before, but never on Earth." Maudie turned to him. "You've heard it in space?" He nodded. "Slowly, in deep space, near broken ships. Always after something terrible happened." Back on screen, the humans were locking down the facility. One survivor spoke. "We dug something up last week. We thought it was just frozen metal. It moved, then it disappeared." Another whispered, "It doesn't eat. It doesn't leave wounds. It just takes, then vanishes." Suddenly, the door burst open. The screen went dark. A red message appeared. "Contact lost nitrogen monoxide. Recovery black site sealed." The lights in the room came back on. No one said a word, even. The Trillion commander looked pale. Maudie looked across the room. "This creature, whatever it is, didn't come from a forest. It wasn't a wild animal, we think. We brought it out by mistake." Captain Noro spoke finally, his voice quieter than before. "So, it wasn't born on Earth?" "We don't know," Maudie said. "But we know it never left. And we sealed that area with nukes, then built an orbit station above it to make sure nothing escaped." The gray Yatari cadet looked at her. "Lieutenant, if Earth has these things, how did your species survive?" Maudie looked at him for a long time before replying. "Because we learned something very early. Not everything can be killed. Some things, you just don't wake up." Another alien said, "Then why show us this now? Why risk your clearance? Your command will punish you." Maudie nodded. "They probably will." She took out the black drive again and stared at it, but you all needed to see it. "You think Earth is full of small, weak creatures? You laugh at lions, you laugh at sharks. But those are just the surface animals." She pointed toward the screen. "We buried the real ones." She looked around the room, her voice steady now, but sometimes the Earth doesn't forget. When it's angry, she paused. "It shows you what lives under the ice." No one laughed again. And in the back of the room, the translator whispered just one word: "Predators." The next day, the viewing room was different. No one laughed, no one joked, even Captain Noro, who once called lions toothless cats, sat silently in the corner, arms crossed. Staring at the floor, something had changed in all of them after seeing the last emergency footage. They no longer saw Earth as weak. Now, they weren't sure they wanted to see more, but Maudie Reyes had already loaded the next file. She stood beside the projector. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp. "I warned you," she said. "The lion is not Earth's deadliest hunter. The bear is not the true threat." She looked at them all. Today you meet the ones that don't roar. The screen flickered on. The video was old. Grainy, a timestamp showed. June 14th, 26:5. It opened with security footage from a small research bunker, a hallway, flashing. Red lights. A team of humans running fast, silent, terrified. They weren't shouting, not even speaking. Only one whispered, "Don't scream. Don't move." Inside the viewing room, one of the alien cadets raised a hand. Why didn't they call for help? Madi answered without looking away from the screen. Because sound attracts it. The cadet went quiet. On the video, the humans hid in a supply closet. A faint sound filled the speakers. Click, dot, dot, click, click, soft, slow, getting closer. One soldier covered his mouth. Another had tears in his eyes. A light overhead. Blinked. Once. Twice. Then died. Suddenly. The sound stopped. Total silence. Then a body dropped from the ceiling. The screen turned to static. The Trillion commander shifted in his seat. "This is not a predator," he growled. "This is something else." Madi looked. At him, it hunts like a predator. But it doesn't roar. It doesn't warn. It doesn't chase. She stepped closer to the screen. Her voice dropped. "It waits." The video changed. Now it was thermal footage, all black and red. A human rescue team was walking through an underground cave system. They carried weapons, high-tech scanners, night vision, area cold, one of them said. No movement. 8. The scanner beeped. Behind, someone whispered. The camera turned. Nothing. The thermal showed cold air. And one shape that was too cold to register. It looked like a man standing still. No heat, no breathing. One of the soldiers stepped toward it. The screen cut to static again. When the feed returned, 4 bodies were on the ground. No blood. No. Wounds. Eyes wide open. As if frozen in fear, in the viewing room, Captain Noro whispered, "What kind of weapon is this?" Madi didn't answer. She just clicked forward. The final clip began. This time, there was no video. Only audio. A transmission. From a pilot flying over the Arctic. "Command, this is Recon 7. I see. Movement. Large area. No tracks. It's just moving under the snow. I'm losing altitude. No damage. No alarm. Just something wrong. My co-pilot. Dot. He's staring into the glass. He's not responding. There's something. Wait. What's that?" Silence. Then one final whisper. "It doesn't need eyes." The file ended. The room was completely still. Madi turned off the screen. "These predators don't chase." She said. "They don't scream. They don't growl." She looked directly at the YTARI cadet. "They don't even touch you until they know you're afraid." The cadet's skin shifted color, a sign of rising fear in a species. "Afraid?" asked they. ... Smell fear? Madi nodded. "We believe so." One time, a test subject stayed calm, didn't panic, didn't touch her. Others who screamed, gone in seconds. Captain Noro shook his head. "You humans lie. You make myths." Madi looked at him. "You still think this is a story?" She pulled out a small file and placed it on the table in front of him. Photos, old. Earth reports, black sites, frozen towns. In the middle of the night, no signs of battle, just silence. And one line repeated in every report. No response. No survivors. No threats detected. No. The Trillion commander leaned forward. "You said these predators don't attack all the time?" "Why?" Madi answered. "Because they're not hunting for food. They're not animals. We don't know why they do what they do." She paused. "But we think they hunt emotion." The room remained quiet for a long time. Then Madi spoke again. "When you laughed at Earth predators, you thought of strength, muscles, teeth." She walked slowly in front of the screen, but the real ones. Hunt your mind, your fear, your silence. They face them all. They don't roar. One cadet raised his hand, voice shaking. What do you call them? Mahdi gave a small, bitter smile. We have many names. The whisper, the cold one, the thing in the dark. She stepped back toward the projector, but most of the time, we just say nothing at all. The station windows faced the stars. But today, no one was looking out. All the alien cadets had returned to the viewing room, but something had changed. They no longer walked in proudly. Some came in quietly. Others didn't even make eye contact. With the human officer standing near the projector, Lieutenant Mahdi Reyes waited for them to settle. Then she asked one question. You still think Earth is safe? No one answered. She gave a small nod and inserted the next black drive. The title appeared on the screen. Emergency broadcast Skyfall event. The lights dimmed. The screen lit up. A helicopter camera showed a wide forest below. Green.com, peaceful, A. Soft voice from the aircraft came through the speakers. Routine flyover complete. No movement on ground. Returning to base. Then static the camera. Clit. Then came a sound no one in the viewing room had expected. A. Scream. But it wasn't from the ground. It came from the sky. The camera shook wildly. Something large, too fast to see, passed over the aircraft. Control somethings. Above us, no signal. It's jamming, then came a loud shriek.
Not mechanical.
Not animal. A sound like metal screaming. Mixed with pain, the camera turned. Trying to follow the shape in the sky, all they saw was a black blur with wings, too large to be a bird, too silent to be a plane. The chopper spun. Then the feed cut to black. Inside the viewing room, a young alien cadet asked softly, What was that? Mahdi didn't answer yet. She just played the next clip. Now the screen showed a spaceport. Massive, busy, dozens of human and alien. Ships were parked. A warning siren played. Unknown object entering atmosphere. Atmosphere. No ID tag. No response. Civilians looked up. A shape fell. From the clouds, not a meteor. Not a ship. It had wings. But they didn't flap. They stretched unnaturally wide, longer than any known bird. Then came the screaming, not from the people, from the sky itself. Every speaker, every radio, even personal devices, all began to emit the same sound. A screech that made blood run. Cold. People clutched their heads. Some fell to the ground. One man pointed at the sky and shouted, "Don't look at it!" Too late. The screen went black. Mahdi paused the video. She turned to face the aliens. There are things on Earth that crawl, she said, but some fall from above. Captain Noro growled. Wings don't scare me.
Mahdi
Tilted her head. These don't flap. These tear. They slice the sky open and enter silently. She pressed play. The final clip was simple. A single human pilot sat in a dark cockpit. He was sweating, breathing fast. His ship was damaged. He was whispering into the mic. They said it wasn't real. They said sky predators don't exist. But it's outside my ship. It's not flying. It's just floating there, staring. I try to move, but I can't. I hear it. In my head now, please tell my daughter I'm sorry. Then the feed cut. No explosion. No crash. Just silence. The lights came back on. One alien cadet stood up slowly. Why didn't your people warn the rest of the galaxy? Mahdi's eyes were cold now. We tried, she said. They laughed, just like you did. The cadet sat back down without a word. The Trillion commander leaned forward. You called it a Skyfall event. How many have there been? Mahdi replied. 12 confirmed. 5 in orbit. 7 on Earth. 3 still ongoing. Spoke again. Why not destroy them? We tried, she said. He frowned. And she held up a file. We sent missiles, lasers, plasma. She dropped it on the table. Nothing came back. Another cadet asked, what do they want? Mahdi stared at the ceiling for a moment, then said, we don't think they want anything. We think they just come when someone calls them without knowing. The Waitari cadet shivered. Calls them, like,
signal.
She nodded. Sometimes a song, sometimes a frequency, sometimes a dream someone records. The room fell silent again. Then Madi spoke softly. You call Earth a weak planet, but we live with these things. We build cities next to forests that whisper. We build bunkers beneath skies that scream. She looked directly at them, and we stay alive. No one challenged her this time. No one mocked. Even Captain Noro stayed quiet. Madi unplugged the black drive and walked toward the door. But before she left, she turned back. Don't fear what roars. She paused. Fear what arrives. Quietly, from above, and she walked out. The silence in the viewing room felt heavier now. The aliens weren't just quiet, they were nervous, Captain. Noro had stopped making eye contact. The Atari cadet who once mocked Earth's wildlife was now sitting with his arms wrapped around himself. Even the Trillion commander looked tired, his claws twitching every time the projector beeped. Lieutenant Madi Reyes stood near the screen again. She didn't speak for the first few seconds. She just held up a black metal case. This, she said quietly, is the last known drone footage from Deep Zone Theta. She looked around. 14 drones were sent, all advanced, all equipped with weapons, scanners, and AI defense. She opened the case and removed a flash drive. None came back. The room dimmed as the video began. The first clip showed a jungle, thick, dark, covered in fog. The drone hovered above it, scanning trees, rocks, movement. A voice from the human command team spoke through the feed, entering Zone Theta, scanning for energy sources. Temperature, normal. No threats detected. And the drone dropped lower. Branches brushed its camera, then a blink. Something passed in front of the lens. Too fast. No clear shape. Unidentified movement, the drone reported. A slowing scan. Rate. Then came static. The drone spun once. Then the screen went black. The Atari cadet whispered, Was that, ... a failure? Madi shook her head. That was the first drone. It's a simple one. Wait until you see the military units. She clicked to the next file. This drone was bigger. It had dual plasma turrets, rotating cameras, thermal sensors. It entered a different area. It's a rocky desert with strange patterns on the ground. The feed was clean, quiet. Then the drone spoke. Unknown signal detected. Pattern, rhythmic, organic, attempting translation. It paused. Then something moved underground. Not small, huge. The sand shifted. Cracks formed. Threat level rising. Initiating escape too late. The ground opened. Something dark pulled the drone downward. The last frame showed red eyes. Then static. Captain Noro growled softly. Why no counterattack? Madi turned toward him. We tried. That drone was armed with fusion bombs. It didn't matter. The next clip began. This time, stealth drone entered a deep cave system. It scanned slowly, one tunnel at a time. No movement, just silence. Then, a sound. Click, click, click. The same noise heard in the earlier footage, but slower, louder. The drone backed up, camera shaking. A shape appeared in the dark. Too many legs, no clear body. Then a whisper, something in a language unknown. And the drone froze, its lights dimmed, its systems shut down. One by one, a final warning flashed on the screen. Core override control lost. Then, from the speakers, came one word, spoken in flawless human English. Watching. A few aliens in the viewing room jumped. One even dropped his datapad. Madi let the silence stretch, then said, That was drone 11. She moved to the last file. This is drone 14. The footage opened in a snowy wasteland. Winds howled. The sun was weak. The drone flew over empty buildings, all abandoned. Signs read, Research station closed. Level black site. Do not ENTR. The drone entered anyway. No alarms. No lights. Only snow and broken glass. It scanned the main room. No. Bodies, just shadows. Then, figure appeared in the hallway. Human. No. Too tall, too thin, and too still. The drone zoomed in. The figure stared directly into the camera, eyes glowing white, face expressionless. Then it lifted a finger slowly, pointed at the drone. Every sensor died instantly. Last message. On the screen, we see you two, then static.mad stopped the playback. The screen went black, but the fear in the room stayed. The Trillion commander asked in a low voice, "What was that?" Mahdi stared at the black screen. "We don't know. We've tried to label it, catalog it. But whatever it is, it doesn't follow science. It doesn't follow rules." Captain Noro stood. "This is madness. These are just errors, glitches. Machines fail." Mahdi looked at him. "Then you explain this." She tossed a report onto the table. It showed the brainwave readings of a drone. The report was stamped. Top secret classified Earth Command ONL1 line was circled in red. The drone felt fear. Captain Noro stepped back. He didn't argue again. One alien cadet finally asked, "Why do you keep going back to these places? Why not burn them all?" Mahdi nodded slowly. "We did burn some, but others, we couldn't. Even find again." She looked down, as if they didn't want to be found again. The room stayed silent for several minutes. Then Mahdi said one last thing before leaving. "You wanted to know Earth's secrets?" She looked toward the screen. "We're not the strongest species on our planet." She turned toward the door. "We're just the ones who know how to hide." Then she walked out. The projector blinked once more, and for a moment, a small line of text appeared on the screen. "Connection lost. Drone offline. Entity still active." The air inside the viewing room was thick and heavy. No one spoke. No one moved. Alien cadets who once laughed now looked toward the door every few minutes, as if expecting something to crawl through it. Lieutenant Mahdi Reyes stood near the center of the room, holding a new black drive. She didn't walk to the projector yet. Instead, she asked quietly, "Do you know what fear smells like?" A few aliens looked confused. One Varkan shifted uncomfortably. Mahdi continued, "Humans can't smell fear. But some animals can. On Earth, wolves can sense it. So can sharks, and snakes feel your heartbeat before they strike." She looked around the room. "But there are things that hunt only fear." She walked to the screen and inserted the new drive. The words appeared. "Emergency recordings. Whisper class do not distribute." The lights dimmed. The screen showed a prison underground, deep in old mountains. Human guards monitored cells, all locked with thick metal. One guard was speaking to a camera. Test subject was found in a collapsed bunker, not registered in any Earth species list. Doesn't eat, doesn't sleep, doesn't speak. He turned toward the cell. Inside was a shadow, humanoid in shape. But to still, the camera zoomed in. Its skin was black. Its eyes were empty. It wasn't moving, not even breathing. Then the screen displayed rising sensor readings. Heartbeat detected. 128 BPM sweat level. High nervous response increasing. The guard stepped closer. The figure twitched once. Subject moved, the guard said. But it didn't step, it jumped frames. The screen froze. "Captain?" Noro shifted. "What does that mean?" Mahdi looked at him. "It means it didn't move like we do. It skipped space." It was here then. It was there. The next frame resumed. The guard now looked terrified. He stepped back. "I think it knows," he whispered. "It knows I'm afraid." The black figure suddenly turned toward the camera. Its mouth opened, not to scream, to smile. Then the screen went black. The Waitari cadet stood. It smelled the fear. Mahdi nodded. "Yes." The guards who stayed calm survived, but anyone who panicked disappeared. The next clip began. This time, it was a test room. One volunteer sat across from the black figure, separated by glass. The human had training, no emotion, calm breathing. The figure stared, unmoving. Nothing happened for 5 minutes. Then the human was told to watch a disturbing video. A timer showed. Rising stress. The black figure smiled again. Then it pressed its hand against the glass. The glass cracked. "That glass was blast-proof," Mahdi said quietly. It cracked without touching it fully. The subject was removed. Madi turned to the cadets. This is why we learn to stay calm, to hide fear, to breathe slow, because these things, they hunt emotion, not sound, not blood. Captain Noro growled. That's not hunting. That's mind reading. Madi didn't disagree. She clicked the next file. A group of soldiers sat inside a metal shelter. They were trapped during a training mission. Something was outside. They heard it circling. One soldier panicked. He started crying. The lights flickered. Another soldier shouted, "Calm down! It's coming because of you!" The camera caught the black shape outside the window, eyes glowing white in the dark. It stayed there, watching the soldier who panicked. Screamed again, then something slammed into the roof. The feed cut out. Madi spoke softly, only that one man was taken. The others survived. Why? Because they stayed calm. The Yatari cadet whispered, "But fear is natural. How do you stop it?" Madi looked at him carefully. "We trained ourselves. On Earth, fear is death. If you flinch, if you scream, something hears." She held up a training manual. Inside were pages of human exercises. No blinking, no fast breathing, no sudden motion. Ignore pain, ignore panic. Ignore the urge to run. The Trillion commander spoke next. "Why not use machines to fight these things?" Madi shook her head. "We did. They failed. Because machines don't feel fear. That makes them invisible to the predator. It walks past them, but humans, aliens, we're full of emotion. That's what it follows." She looked at the silent cadets. "Some of you thought we were cowards when we moved slowly. When we stayed still while others rushed forward in war." She gave a cold smile. "We weren't slow. We were surviving." Then she played one final clip. A group of alien Marines was sent into an old Earth bunker. Thinking the reports were lies, the video showed them exploring dark hallways, laughing, mocking, until one made a joke about human ghost stories. He burst out laughing suddenly. The lights died, screaming followed. Only one Marine survived. His final words, "It smiled at me, like it was enjoying my fear." The screen went dark. Matt turned off the projector. No roars, no claws, just silence. And your own heartbeat. She looked at them all. One by one, Earth learned a truth. The more scared you are, the faster you die. No one wanted to speak now. Even the most confident alien cadet sat frozen, eyes wide, back stiff. Lieutenant Madi Reyes stood quietly beside the projector. She hadn't moved for over a minute. Then she finally spoke slowly and carefully. "You've seen how Earth's animals hunt. You've seen how some feed on fear." She looked around the darkened room. "But there are things even we run from." A Varkan soldier raised his hand, voice shaking. "But you're humans, Deathworlders. You fight monsters. You've killed entire beasts with just knives." Madi stared at him. "Not these." She walked to the screen and inserted a different flash drive, this one red and scratched. It didn't autoplay like the others. Instead, it showed just two words. "Class Void." "Void class?" the Trillion commander asked. "What does that mean?" Madi answered. Softly, "It means don't approach. Don't observe. Don't fight. Just leave." She hit play. The first footage began with a human unit retreating. Real soldiers. Elite Earthshock troopers running full speed across a blackened wasteland. Their commander shouted, "Don't turn around." One of them disobeyed. He looked back and screamed. The camera never showed what he saw, only a blur, a shape. The next second, he vanished. No sound, no blood. Gone. Then the others vanished too, one by one, until only the camera was left shaking in the dirt. Then it stopped. Madi looked at the stunned cadets. "We don't know what it is. It doesn't appear on sensors. It doesn't leave tracks. But when it comes, the land changes." She played the second file. A city completely empty. Tall buildings, cars on the roads, meals still on plates, but no people. Human recovery teams. Landed 30 minutes later, they walked the streets, looked in apartments. No bodies, only echoes. One soldier found a message, written in red on a wall, not paint, not blood, but burned into the metal. It said, "We heard it whisper." Captain Noro asked, "What did it say?" Mahdi answered, "That's the problem. No one who hears it survives, not even in dreams." The third clip started, a classified experiment. Humans in a deep underground lab, heavy shielding, eye-controlled. Drones monitoring a strange metal cube inside the cube. Something small and dark. It didn't move, but the room's temperature kept dropping. Humans wore breathing masks. They spoke slowly. Calmly one whispered, "I think it's inside my head." Then, alarms blared. The cameras melted. The metal cube cracked. Then the feed cut out. Final transmission. Do not think about it. Do not remember it. Do not name it. Mahdi looked at the screen. Her voice was lower now. Some things are not meant to be fought. Some are meant to be forgotten, the Atari cadet asked in a whisper. But how do you stop something like that? Mahdi didn't smile this time. You don't. You run. You seal the door, you erase the map, and you never speak of it again. She showed one more file. It was from an old Earth command ship, a battle cruiser named Spearfall. A distress signal played. "We found a derelict station drifting in deep orbit. No life signs." We entered. The message paused. A new voice, broken and shaking, took over. It wasn't dead. It was waiting. It took the minds first, then the lights, then the stars. The transmission ended with just one word whispered in the dark. Run. The screen went black again, but this time it stayed off. Mahdi didn't turn it back on. She let the darkness settle around them. She walked to the center of the room. This is why humans act calm. This is why we don't chase shadows. Why we move slow. Why we scan first. She looked each alien in the eye. We don't pretend to be the strongest in the universe. She pointed at the screen. But we've seen what happens when you act like you are. Captain Naro leaned forward, his voice quiet now. Do these things still exist? Mahdi nodded once. They're still out there. On old maps. It's on forgotten worlds. Some waiting. Some watching. She added, we don't go back, and we don't warn others anymore, because the smart ones don't need a warning. She paused. At the door, only fools laugh at Earth's predators. She gave them a cold look, and only the dead go looking for the ones even humans run from. Then she stepped outside. The projector beeped once. A small message flashed across the black. Screen new file found. Unauthorized access. Emergency broadcast. The projector flickered. Lieutenant Mahdi Reyes had already left the room. But the cadets and officers remained frozen in their seats. Then, without warning, the screen turned on by itself. A system prompt appeared. Unauthorized file. Emergency. Broadcast Earth level black. For human eyes only. The alien cadets looked at one another, but no one reached to stop it. Curiosity had already won. The broadcast began with static. A strange tone echoed low, vibrating, like something growling beneath the sound. Then a calm male voice spoke. If you are hearing this, it means the final protocol has failed. This message is meant only for survivors. There is no help coming. The screen showed Earth not as a blue planet, but dark, broken, surrounded by a black cloud, zooming in. Massive scars across continents were visible. Cities burned. Oceans boiled, and above it all, something hovered. Something impossible to describe. Even on the screen, its shape hurt the eyes. The voice continued. We named it the Silence, not because it made no sound. Because it made all things quiet. Images flashed rapidly. Human cities covered in black fog. Soldiers firing weapons, only to be erased mid-shot. Satellites falling from orbit like rain. Child staring upward as shadows covered the sky. Then, sound changed. It wasn't words anymore, just whispers, thousands layered over each other. One Utari cadet covered his ears. Another began shaking. The voice returned, "Do not trust your eyes. Do not speak its name. And above all, do not try to fight it." Captain Noro stood slowly. "This is real?" the Trillion commander answered with fear in his voice. "It's not a warning. It's a farewell." The next clip showed a final human base. Deep underground, inside high command officers gathered. Looked tired, broken. One of them, a woman with scars across her face, looked directly into the camera. She said only one thing, to the stars, watching this. "We told you not to mock our monsters." Then she pressed a button. The screen went white. A flash. A pulse. Earth vanished. The broadcast went black. No sound. No ending. Just one final text message on the screen. "Transmission from Earth ends here." Umber. One in the viewing room spoke. No one could. The fear was too heavy. Even Captain Noro, who had once mocked Earth's primitive beasts, now sat pale and shaking. Then from the hallway came footsteps, slow. Even Lieutenant Madi Reyes stepped back inside. She didn't look surprised to see the broadcast had played. Instead, she gave a short nod. "So," she said quietly, "now you've seen it." The Trillion commander stood up. "Why wasn't this shown earlier?" Madi looked at him. "'Cause it's not for aliens. It's not even for humans anymore." She pointed at the black screen. That was Earth's last message to the universe. Not a call for help. Not a warning. Paused, it was a lesson. The Yatari cadet whispered, "Why did you save this file?" Madi's answer was simple. "So that someone remembers what we lost, what we faced, and what waits if you laugh at the dark too long." The cadets sat in silence. Some looked down. Others stared at the black screen, afraid it might turn on again. Madi walked to the door again, but stopped before leaving. She said, "You mocked Earth's predators. You laughed at our fear. But now you understand." She turned back once, eyes cold. "We didn't fear them because we were weak. We feared them because we had seen what came after." Then she walked out. The door hissed shut. Behind her, in the silence that followed, no one said a word, no one dared, because somewhere deep in the back of their minds, the whispers from the emergency broadcast still echoed.